Hello again. My crypto journey intro 3. Since most of my audience is Black women, there's something very particular that I need to talk about. And basically, this version is specifically because the bulk of my audience is Black women. Burn the cape and drop the drama. And don't bring that into your crypto investing. Now, something that's going to become very important for those of you who are going to go by the same path that I went in terms of not having a lot of money to invest, but putting in what I'm going to call crypto sweat equity on Hive. Some of you that are going to follow that process understand that giving credit where credit's due, something we're not very precise about in a lot of the Black spaces that we spend time with on social media. We're not as precise about that as we need to be. So let me do this by example. I'm not sure who the actual originator of Burn the Cape is, but I know that it dates all the way back to when Kendall St. Charles was really one of the prime movers and shakers in Black women empowerment. It goes back at least that far. It goes back at least as far as Crystal Harrison, who's the pink pill. And I think April Mason was around in that time. I think it was Kendall St. Charles who may have said that first. But I know that it belongs to the first wave of Black women empowerment. And what Black women were really talking about, what these were talking about was stop being so worried about everybody around you that you neglect yourself. Specifically, Black men, but also just all this work for a community that does not work as hard for Black women. When you go into the crypto sphere, there are a couple things that you need to understand. First of all, you don't have to bring all the different defensive defensive mechanisms about race and about gender into that space because nobody cares. Nobody cares. Hive, which is a proof of brain blockchain, just like those that are proof of stake, you either have the crypto or you don't, or proof of work, you either have a mining rig or you don't. No one checks to determine, okay, so you're such and such person. These are all international enterprises. And outside the United States, the world has not been as caught up about this. And the beautiful thing about there being sweat equity options to get into crypto means you can be among the poorest of the poor and have time to do something interesting and creative in a blog and be able to get some equity and be able to get some things that you can hold there and put up for significant interest or be able to move and sell if you live in a country that has a lower level of fiat and get your life. I've seen it. Therefore, any kind of the argument that we have been doing back and forth online and sometimes offline is irrelevant. You literally have to rewire your brain. For those of you that wonder why I'm not even bothering to show up at a lot of spaces at a lot of the time since about 2022, middle of 2022, it's because I actually realized the world is not even moved on. It was never involved in some of these arguments, does not even consider them valid. You can get to a space where those things do not make any difference anymore. Okay, now some things still come up. Even on Hive, you have a certain amount of people who are not pleased to see people in the global south and descendants of those from the global south read colonized by Europe being able to use crypto to get their life and to improve their standard of living more than they can because in the first world it's going to take quite a long time before you can accumulate enough of anything starting from sweat equity to be able to live on it because the US dollar and the euro are just worth that much more. There are a certain number of people that are unhappy about it, but they actually can't stop you. That's new. I have a Black friend that I do investment with, and we call ourselves the uppity middlers because we are Black women who are on a move. And yeah, it frustrates. I've frustrated some people. I've been, offhand referenced in some publications, and some I've been by name because I'm up here with your top 10 people doing certain things because I do get my work done. And no, people don't like it. Someone was dumb enough to say you can't make a living on it. I'm like, sir, thank you. Because during the pandemic, I sure did. Thank you for giving me that challenge. See, they can be like that, but they can't stop you because in a level playing field, proof of brain environment, if you have a brain, you have all you need to have a level playing field. But again, what that means is even the biggest argument that we experience on the side of being of African descent in America does not exist in any functional way. You either have the knowledge in a way, all of crypto is proof of brain. You either have the knowledge or you do not. And if you don't, you just don't have it. Doesn't matter what color you are. A lot of things that we spend a lot of time struggling against, drop the drama. But also, let me go back to burn the cave. For you, let me explain to you how this works, okay? A lot of the habits that we have as Black women, you know, dating down, working with people with no proof but potential are really going to get you hurt because one of the things you need to understand about the crypto environment is that a lot of the men in the crypto environment refer to themselves as degenerates. These are, for those of you who want to be hypergamous, for those of you who think the white man is the answer, a lot of people in the crypto space who are in the markets and creating crypto projects refer to themselves as degenerates, and they refer to themselves as people who are just basically apes, aping into projects. So you need to understand something. Even though race and class do not matter as much, you are dealing with people that will have no problem putting together projects, hyping them up, making them look good, and pulling everybody's investment out and going on to the next. It happened so many times in 2022, it was ridiculous. Perhaps you've heard of the case of FTX, in which Sam Bankman Fried is accused of doing about $200 billion just like that. That's the environment that you're working in. So that if you're someone who takes on projects in your regular life and you're someone who gets hyped up by the potential and wanting to make things work and wanting to make sure things work and getting involved in things and doing a lot of work to hype a project, if you do that now and you take that in there, you're going to get killed. Fornicate before you go in. The other thing that's going to happen if you don't already have a lot of money to go do this, you really have to take time to look at two things. Either you have money or you don't. This is the bear market. Again, it's 4-year cycle. The bear market is the best time to invest because here's what's going to happen. What's going to end up happening is most people come into the market when the hype starts. For people who come into them, and this is true when, if we were going to be talking about stocks, equities, same thing. People who get positioned now with small pieces of money sell to people that come in later. You know, if you got into Bitcoin at $9,200 and people didn't come into the market until $50,000, guess what? Everybody who came into the market at 9,000 or maybe got in March at 6,000 or even when Bitcoin at the very bottom of COVID touched 3,000, these people were already in 4 times profit by the time crypto got up to 12, by the time Bitcoin got up to 12,000. They were way up in profit. And this is why the thing tapped out at 60,000, 64,000, and then 69,000. You had all these people that are like, I don't need it to go to 100,000. I'll take my money out now. It's gone up 7 times. So, if you don't have a lot of money though, if you need to get in position now, this means you have to now begin to look at your life from the viewpoint of who and what am I wasting money on? Or who and what am I wasting time on and energy on that I could be using to get my sweat equity now, January 2023, so that I'm ready between 2024 and 2025 to ride this thing up and have the most favorable tax treatment. If you are in the United States, if you hold on to any kind of asset like a crypto or an equity for a year and a day, you pay something called long-term capital assets. These are long-term capital gains on your assets. These assets fall into that classification. And if you do that, the first 40,000 and a little bit of change that you cash out, no taxes. I've made this example many times. When I did the video about hypergamy, I talked about, okay, if a man ever comes up to you in January and tells you that he made 40,000 or 80,000 and you turn him down in his January, here's what you don't know. He invested in something in November of the 2 years ago, like if it's 2023, he invested in November 2021. Of course, now for the crypto market, that would be a horrible example, but we'll just go with it for right now. This means that he made $40,000 and sold there because there's no taxes on that money. He doesn't have to pay any on there. So his $80,000 comes all the way home. The man who has to pay his taxes on April 15th has already had, if he is a wage earner, has already had 38% of that taken out. He's bringing $62,000 home. I've done this example before. Well, what it really has to do with is in the crypto market, because it's a 4-year cycle, you know it's going to peak. Therefore, you know it's going to peak in 2025, sometime early in the middle of 2025 on average, maybe late 2025. When do you want to have your assets together? No later than January 1, 2024. And if you really want to have time to learn and get ready, what month should you learn and what year should you be getting your assets together? You need to position yourself before December 31st, 2023. All that time, I am not unaware of the drama that is going on. Actually, will be yesterday when you see this. All that time being spent, all that smoke and foolishness be doing back and forth. You can spend all 2023 doing that, or you can learn how to drop the drama and leave that alone. But in your personal life, you also need to now assess who is dead weight in your life. And if you're not in a relationship and thinking about getting in one, you need to think about, am I really going to allow someone to spend my investment money? Am I really going to go 50-50 with someone who has no commitment to me when I could be taking that money and doing it with something else? Am I going to do any of that when I can be training my brain to actually be a good partner to a man who already lives like this? For those of you who want to be hypergamous, this is important for you for two reasons. Number one, you need to better your situation. You need to do that because there's a recession going on. But second of all, if you say you want a partner and you want him to be above you in class and you want him to be someone who really has money and understands money, it would really help you to train your brain how to be a good investor because that's the kind of partner he's looking for. See, investors think of the world differently. This is another reason, if you're going to burn a cape, know this. Investors look at the world differently than consumers. Consumers are looking for, when am I going to get my money so I can now have a good time with it? People who are wage earners every 2 weeks. You get it, you pay your bills, you spend it, you have a good time with what you have left, and you go on. Investors don't think like that. But the good thing is, an investor will see someone who brings money to the table with her and say, okay, great, we'll blend and extend. We'll blend our portfolios. But if you don't have one and what you bring is an investor mindset that that man is going to provide you the lifestyle you couldn't get on your own, you will be rejected by these kind of men out of hand because you are not ready to be a partner to them. So in burning the cape and dropping the drama, you have to drop all of those mind states. Do you understand that you have to drop all of those mind states? So drop them now. You cannot afford to spend your time on foolishness, online or off. You cannot afford to spend your money on foolishness, online or off. Literally, there are on ramps to crypto that if you do not have money but you have time, you can begin to get some crypto sweat equity while you continue to learn. There are on ramps to crypto whereby if you have money and no time, you can also get on ramps and begin to earn passive income, and you do not have to sit here and be hanging over a computer. There are all the possibilities of trading and investing almost that exist in the world of equities also exist in crypto. If you are a day trader or you're interested in the principles of binary trading, there's ways to do this in crypto, although you got to be careful. If you got sideways market action, these things are kind of rough. They do need volatility. Vitamin Key, looking at you here, who taught us on Birth Your Bag about binary trading. There are some principles that can be applied. Short-term trades all the way to buy and hold to things that are staked up and pretty much play dividends. There's a reason I'm studying dividends now because in terms of buy and hold type things, I halfway understand the concept. It just has to be applied to equity. But there are things that you can do in certain cryptos that are very similar to that. All of this is available to you. But it is, by the time you see this, January 26, 2023, you're going to have to really put in, if you're going to do well in these markets, you're not going to have time to be babying other people. The other thing that you have to really get in mind is if you're one of those people that's going to hang on for potential, no, you're going to get killed out here. You have to learn how to assess a project. How far is it gone? You have to come in with a plan. You cannot come in with the project mindset. You have to be very ruthless about how long is this project going to serve me. When we start talking about charts and looking at charts, you can begin to kind of tell when a chart is looking a little toppy. There's a particular indicator called the RSI, and the RSI will give you a big fat hint that it's probably getting close to time to sell, and you have to determine what is your time wave for this, how much time. There's a couple of them to look at. We'll talk about the most popular ones, the ones I use, because I can't use a lot of these complicated ones, but the ones I use and look at. You are going to have to be very ruthless about selecting things that serve you, buying them at the right time, and selling them at the right time, no matter how many stories you're being told about it in the news media and by the degenerates in the market. In the same way that the degenerates in the community are always going to try to sell you a story to keep you hanging on and keep you putting money in, crypto is very much the same way. People will have you. Everybody was busy talking about Bitcoin's going to 100,000. Everybody was convinced. Everybody remained convinced even when Bitcoin began to lose speed at $60,000. You actually could see it beginning to happen on the chart. Now, the reputable crypto YouTubers that I listen to actually began to say, hey, we got some problems here. It's beginning to form a particular formation. Be careful. We may not get to it on this wave. And then it fell back down, but everybody was like, hey, it's going to go to $100,000. So let's just stay in. Don't panic now. We're just gaining speed for the next wave. The next wave went up to 69,000, almost $70,000. And everybody was talking about, and you're starting to see the same toppy behavior. Meanwhile, everything not Bitcoin and Ethereum never stopped crashing from that point. So people started looking at it called a bearish divergence. The price is rising, but several indicators are dropping like a stone. But everybody's talking about no, because we know from this is the such and such model that it's going to go to 100,000. Y'all just need to hang in there. And you had reputable people coming along, but these are not the ones with the big channels talking about a triple wave formation is one of the rarest things to ever happen. So for this to form a triple pump would be one of the rarest things to ever happen. This may be the top. If you are gullible, if you love a project, if you can be sold a dream, guess what? One good day in May, Bitcoin fell off a cliff and kept on falling till November of 2022. So if you are too wedded to a project, if you are a ride or die, people rode it and died. Bitcoin lost 80% of its value. Now, if you're a long-term swing trader like me, you don't really care about that. I trade for a year and a day. Doesn't really matter to me. And I didn't need anything in there, although I must say it was quite an experience to go from where my portfolio was in November of 2021 all the way down to where it was in November 2022. That was a ride. But I'm a long-term swing trader. It doesn't bother me as much as it would bother some people. I knew that I would be holding some things through because I was learning, and I knew that I'm already positioned in a bunch of things for the next wave. So do I worry? No, because of my style of investing. We got to talk about that too. But as a Black woman, you cannot bring your social justice habits over here. You cannot bring your desire to hang on to a project because it just has to succeed. Nope. You can't date these men based on their potential and the storyline that they're giving you. Can't do it. Can't do it. You have to look at your life and be who's dead weight. You have to teach people to fish and move on. If they don't get it, you got to go. Your time is valuable. Your time can be your crypto sweat equity. Even your little pieces of money. There's something called dollar cost averaging. YouTuber Larry Jones. Oh, I gotta say one more thing about that before I finish. YouTuber Larry Jones calls it the cup of coffee challenge. Can you take that $5 that you spend on a cup of coffee every day and invest that in the markets in a bear market? Because again, when do you want to be positioned? If you know that the cycle says it's going to peak out around 2025, then the time that you want to invest to get those long-term capital gains tax, you need to have your stuff in place before January 1st, 2024. So if you're putting in $5 a day coffee, 5 days a week, assuming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 6, 9, 5, 10, 15, 20, 22, 23 working days a month, where the markets are still low, you're able to put, over $100 in just by putting in $5 a day or 120 or so dollars a month to make it, 5 times 22, 110, $115 a month, basically, into whatever it is. Can't do that? Fine. You put that time into building sweat equity. You really have to then begin to marshal your time and your money and look at who wants to spend it and has no right to it and who feels entitled and cut them off. This is where you gotta burn it, burn it. And you have to remove time in your life from people that do nothing but cause you drama because you need that time for sweat equity and you need that time to research projects and you need that time to get your feet wet. Now, we're going to go on the two big websites where you can begin to do research on projects. And we'll even look at YouTube channels where you can begin to go look at these things as well because you must do research. It's like now I'm beginning to look at the dividends and I found one that was like paying 167% interest. And I'm like, no, there's got to be more to that story. And it was available on Robinhood too. I could have jumped on that, but I've been around these things long enough. No, 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 play it. Not play it. Mm-mm. There's got to be more to that story. And there was the other thing. Don't invest when you're tired. You got to have time. I was told by a friend of mine post COVID, she said it's okay if you spend 2 hours a day working on your investments. I've never heard such a thing in my entire life. For me to have 2 hours to myself to do anything. Then I got COVID. So post COVID, that made sense because I wasn't going to be able to do half the stuff that I was doing before for a while. So suddenly I had time to really begin looking things up and really getting ready for this time. It's going to take time. You're going to have to put in study. And that means you have to burn the cape and drop the drama. Black women, this is the necessity. One more thing, because Larry Jones reminded me of this. Larry Jones is the brother of someone that we mention a lot in the Grown Black Folks Talk side of the channel, Sir Walter Jones. The Jones family in Chicago has a lot of very useful information that they put out in a variety of things. And one of the things that Larry Jones and Sir Walter Jones sometimes collaborate on is helping you to find things that are going to help you make money no matter the economy and dealing with generational wealth. One thing that you will have to do, again, as I said at the beginning, you have to put down a lot of the stuff that you bring in that are upsetting to you as a Black woman. You're going to need to learn from people who have made choices in life that are not criminal choices, but choices that you may fundamentally disagree with and learn to take in the meat and spit out the bones. Larry Jones is a very rich Black man who became rich through investing who has a white wife. How much do you think that actually matters when you can consider can you go without a cup of coffee and DCA $5 a day? It doesn't. I will introduce you to content creators who on crypto may have useful information, but if you go through the channel trying to find a problem, you'll find it. There are crypto channels of white men that I have left alone because the problems became a little bit too manifest. Sometimes it does cross a line, But you will have to develop an idea of, let me get this information that I need. I don't have to go home with the man. I don't have to worship the man. I don't have to be his fan. You will have to learn not to be as annoyed by people's personal choices. I'm not saying that those choices don't matter, but you're not going to be able to operate looking at that first. What you need is a whole re education to learn how to live as an investor. Now, when you are assessing an investment and you see that the people running it are just hateful toward other human beings as a matter of course, that to me is a red flag. When you see that certain investors take unnecessarily damaging political positions. I once sold an entire investment position because the man running the investment was promoting something that would end up causing the death of one in every 1,000 people in the state that he was talking about, and he was backing it. And I'm sitting there going, "Nah, I gotta sell you because if your judgment is this bad here, I can't trust you to run the project." Since then, he has been de-emphasized in the running of that project. Apparently, some other people had the same idea I did. But I'm like, as long as you're running it, you cannot have my money back. I'm not saying we don't deal with if Wayman D. Wesley II, Chef Way, was running a project, I wouldn't leave my money in there. I'm not saying that you don't assess the character and the belief system. I'm saying that some of the things that we get all hype about people's personal it's kind of like if you lived in 1866, the fact that Frederick Douglass was going to marry a white woman, you did not have the luxury of being able to be worried about that because the body of his work was just that important. You just didn't have the wherewithal to do that at that time. Well, here you have to again take a lot of that that you have about certain decisions and let that go and listen to the information. Up to the point, however, when it begins to get to be open bigotry, when it begins to get to be open racism, when it begins to get to be open misogyny. Now, when people begin to go there, drop them like a hot potato. But people's personal decisions in their personal life do not necessarily have anything to do with whether they can give you a good financial strategy. You will have to drop that drama too. You will have to drop that drama too. Now, what I want to try to do is put together a playlist so you can find the information that you need. Now, if you feel like you need Snoop and you hear something you just cannot tolerate, you might be able to find the information elsewhere. But just know all that fighting and fussing and carrying on that we have been encouraged to do as Black women in these internet spaces, defending ourselves against people who do not know how to do what we are doing here. If Kevin Samuels had been able to take his group of men through the crypto markets in 2019 and 2020, instead of all that foolishness they were doing, they might actually have the money that they need to not have to go out of the country to feel like they can raise to have a family with a woman here. The passport bros wouldn't have needed to exist if they had gotten together and done what I'm doing for you now in 2019. High value men with their 100K a year could have made some very major investments, and shoot, they should have bought Matic. I did at 2 cents. It went to 2.50, y'all. $2.50. Do the math. I didn't have high value man money, but if you had high value man money, and you have been able to put 10,000, you've been able to buy 10, 15, 18, 19,000 of that in at 2 cents, and it went to 250. How much did you have? What is 250 times 20,000? What is 250 times 50,000? And it would have only cost you about $1,000 at a time to get 50,000 Matic. All these high value men out there talking about this, that. Dennis Burling out here talking about this, that, and the third, and about we're going to renegotiate the contract between Black men and women. No, you should have been renegotiating your understanding of what a descending triangle was. But since they didn't do that, and they're also not doing it now, they gonna have to keep on fussing and fighting and carrying on about what they can't have and what women are like and what do you bring to the table. Meanwhile, you come on over here and learn how to get yourself access to the crypto table. Put all that drama down by people who do not matter, who are absolutely irrelevant. Burn the cave, drop the drama, and prepare your mind and open your mind to be able to access a whole new world of opportunity. We cannot bring the community with us on this one. You have to get in here. You have to determine what your investment style is. You have to determine what kind of projects you're interested in. You have to determine how to assess those projects, both technically and fundamentally. You have to get in there and you have to determine, you have to have a plan. This is how much I'm going to put in here. And when we reach this amount, I'm good. I'm okay with a 10-fold, 20-fold, 5-fold. You got to determine what's reasonable. And I'll show you how you can kind of determine what's reasonable. You look at the all-time low and you look at the all-time high. Most projects are closer to their all-time lows right now. And you look at, okay, if the bull is anywhere like it was last time, can it get up here? How much of a multiple is that? Is that a 5-time multiple? Is it a 10-time multiple? Is it a 6-time? What is it? And when I see this number and I begin to kind of look at these charts and realize, okay, it may have done all that it can do, you have to have a plan to get out. You get in, you have an extra strategy, you get out. You have to be disciplined. And it does not matter how many people in your ear talking about, yeah, it's gonna go up another 5 times, it's gonna go up another 50 times. Just like people, baby, I'm gonna do better. Baby, I'm gonna get it right. You gotta get out of all those habits. Drop the drama, burn the cake. Burn it. Burn it. Burn it. Burn it. And let's move on. All right. Y'all have a good day now. Again, this is intro 3. And gentlemen, if any of you are still listening, then maybe you might be out here doing some things, trying to get yourself some women, trying to do all this. Women cost money. We do. You might want to slow your roll on any of that. Keep up child support payments if you have them, because going into arrears and going to court is taking time and money that you need. And again, all this, it's all black women's fault. It's irrelevant. If you don't get what you need out of the crypto market, that's on you. Just like it is on everybody else. You have to be completely responsible. And when we talk about how you sign up on Hive, and we begin to get to the concept of why you do not leave your money on an exchange, like FTX, don't do it, and how you have to have your own wallets, and there's no way to get your password back if you lose it. You have to become a completely responsible person in the crypto space. So it doesn't matter who you are. But because the bulk of my subscribers are black women, this is focused. All this stuff that everybody back from Kendall St. Charles has been telling you may not get you a different man. It may not get you thoroughly to divestment, but it will keep you safe in the crypto market. And we're going to go ahead and take the next step in the journey. You do not have to worry about people you are not going to have to depend on. You do not have to worry about people who are irrelevant. Let's move on and get this money. Let's burn the cape, drop the drama, black women, and move on. All right, next video, probably next week, we're going to get started on a couple things. I mean, there's a couple ways we can go. I feel like I probably need to talk to you about the fundamentals of investing first, for those of you who are new, and then there are particular wrinkles about the crypto market. Probably will do that first. In fact, I may do it. It depends on what else is going on. These do take some time and thought for me to pull them together. So I make sure that I cover every single thing that we need to discuss as we get ready for this. And then I also may talk about just the fundamentals of what kinds of cryptocurrency projects are there, so we can kind of get into how these operate, and then, styles of investing. Haven't made up my mind yet because there's a lot of ground to cover here. But we'll probably get on to this before the end of the month. All right, intro number 3, but we're done doing introductions. We're going to begin digging into the meat of this topic for my crypto journey next week. All right, y'all have a good day now. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.